I know there was a point in your son's schooling that you were like, they need to be schooled differently. And you took them out of school and you homeschooled them. And if I remember rightly, you even created a whole curriculum for them. I'd love to find out from you, like what kind of spurred you to do that?
So if you look at the kids now at school, it's a real challenge. Whether you like to believe it or not, or you're for school or against school, right now there's going to be a generation of kids that are learning stuff right now for jobs that won't exist, and we're in this weird period where people are learning accountancy and people are learning, and you just won't need an accountant. I know, like, people say, oh yeah, you will need accountants. No, you really won't. Like, there's that will not be a thing. And we're in this really strange time where a load of kids are wasting their entire day at school learning things for stuff that they just won't need. And I remember, like, the joke is like, oh, you won't always have a calculator in your pocket, right? But now it's much more serious than that. It's like, you always need an accountant, or you'll always need a solicitor. I'm not sure. I'm not sure now. So we're in this weird period. I see that coming a mile off quite a while back. But I also saw my kids. There's this whole argument about what about the social element. Now, I'm not being funny. My kids can communicate better than most kids I've seen. They can't talk. I talk to kids these days. They can't look you in the eye. They can't finish sentences. They look nervous. They don't, because anything away from their screen, they don't know how to behave. So you're not telling me that school is helping their social skills, because they're all on their phones in the playground. It's actually destroying their social skills. A little bit of playground time is not going to make up for what social media is doing to their personality and their social skills, because it's an unfair thing. Social media is well outdoing schools on that. It's destroying it. So my kids were engaged at school to about 12, 13, 14 maybe. And then it was just like, look, I like one topic, or I like two topics, and the rest I'm just so disengaged, And I was like, well, are you sure? You sure you don't? This doesn't interest you. That doesn't interest you. Anyway, their results were coming back. They just weren't engaged, but they were really good at certain few things. And I was like, well, it's another 2 years of going to school for 6.5 hours and doing 1.5 hours of things you love, or just come out and do 4 or 5 hours of the thing you love. And that was the idea. It was like, you really don't need any of that other stuff, because you're coming from me. I failed all my GCSEs, and by the time I was 29, retired, and there's no way that I could turn around to my kids when they said I hate school and go, oh, I know, but you do have to do it. You just have to do it, because I didn't believe that myself. I didn't believe that you needed school, so I had to be congruent with that. So I said, look, okay, you come out of school, I know what you like. I'm going to guide you and push you in areas that you like. And then we're going to find something there. And basically the curriculum, it was more of a support network. I had people in the entrepreneurial space. I had people in, health, wealth, business, relationships, physical, everything. So it was like pulling my best people and going, let's have your advice, let's have your best work. And really just, I'd go for walks with my kid, and we'd do like 2 hour walks, and we'd pick a topic and we'd just talk about it. And we'd be, if there's any questions that come up, I'd ask the expert, or I'd ask, and we'd teach and learn on these walks. But really what happened was my son, like Ethan, my youngest son, he just came out of school at 14, loved, he was very creative, like graphic design. He started learning Premiere Pro. He started building a YouTube channel, teaching people how to edit. And then all of a sudden he starts doing reels for people. And, I'm introducing him to people, and he's earning like 3 to 5 grand a month just doing these social media reels because of the skill that he's learned, because he hasn't needed motivation to learn it. He's just gone, I love Premiere Pro. I love video editing. He's just like learning everything about it. Now he's doing all the reels for all of my network, earning money. And by the time he's 16, his mates are just doing their GCSEs and trying to get placed at college and get a job. They probably won't earn 5 grand a month for, I don't know, maybe never. and my son's like, I know it's not about the money, but it doesn't feel like work. It's like he's doing something that he would have done anyway, and now we're just lucky enough to monetize it because everything's monetizable. And to me, that's just the better way to go. Life is about just having enough money coming in to do what you really want to do. And if you can just do what you want to do every day but be paid, that's a real bonus, you know? And that's all life's about. Like, that's all I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't want to... I was talking to someone the other day about goals. Like, I'm in a position now, I don't have any goals. I don't have any aspirations. If I could live every day like today and die, I'd be a very happy person, like, by the end of my life. I don't have any goals anymore. I just want to make sure that I can maintain this level of comfort and these experiences for the rest of my days. And that's it, man. So, yeah. That was a bit of a tangent, but I don't even know where the question was now. But yeah, that's the kind of answer.
No, you said it all there. You know, I was asking why you took him out of school, but you're saying you took him out of school because you just didn't see there wasn't a deep belief in the structure and the system, and you could see where the education was shifting and going. And we really realized that now, right? Like, it is with the AI and the super AIs and the agents and all this. A lot of what we did before is disappearing. Like, I'll give you an example of me. Like, I used to work in tech for many years, writing code and testing stuff. And now when I have...
You got Replit.
Yeah. Now when I have when I'm doing stuff with my own website, I know enough code that I can just sit down with some AI and go, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I want the colors to be like. Give me the HTML and the CSS, and I can build out the whole thing. I don't really need a developer anymore to do that work, unless I really don't want to do that bit. And then I can find the developer who's going to basically do what I just did and pay him to do so.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask the question of, because, you know, you're an entrepreneurial man and you've really put this spirit into your children. And, you know, a lot of kids, a lot of 20-somethings, 30-somethings, they have no financial education, right? We don't go to school. We don't get educated about finance and money. So I guess the question I've got for you is, how did you instill this kind of financial understanding and entrepreneurial spirit into your boys as they were growing up?
Yeah, really, really interesting, because I've had kids when I was 22, so I've basically gone through all the ages now. They're at, like, one's 17, one's 20, so they're basically, I've seen it all. You know, there's not going to be much. I might support them around getting married or whatever and having kids, but there's not really much like fathering. I can, like, all that heavy lifting's done in the early years, right? So one of the reasons that I do what I do in the first place, like, one of the reasons I wanted to be in the position I was in is because when I was considering pulling my kids out of school or talking about it, it turned out that every parent that I knew wanted to do it, right? They were like, I agree, you know, I want to do that as well. And the reason they couldn't is because they had to go to work to earn the money. So it was like they had this guilt that they couldn't give the kid, like, they couldn't let them kid do that because they had to go to work to pay, which is a very valid reason. Like, you have to go work and earn money. I wanted to be in a position where I could support my kids to follow their goals and their dreams without being spoilt and entitled, which is a very, very difficult balancing act, you know, and I don't know how we've done it, and I probably haven't done it perfectly, because it leads on to the next point, which is, one, what I've seen in families is siblings will be the opposite of each other anyway. I just think from an evolutional standpoint, we are built for diversity to survive. So there'll be, like what I said about the partnerships. It's like, you're good at that, I'm good at that. And then the kids will be good at that and good at that. And you've got like this quadrant, right? Where it's like, we can do everything. You know, we've got the longest chance of survival. So one will be the academic, one will be the caring one will be, you know, one will be the creative, one will be the, you know, so that's kind of what the kids are. They're opposites of each other. And going back to what I said at the beginning of this podcast is, I think that we value most what we perceive to be missing most, right? So there's this great saying is like, weak times create strong people create, right? Good times creates something, and it creates hard times and all this, right? So it's this cycle. So I perceive to have no security, no finances, nothing, right? So I have valued making that my life. My life's goal was to create security and freedom and abundance and financial stability. So when you have kids, all you want for them is what you didn't have. You just want them to just have everything you didn't have. Well, of course, what do they perceive to be missing when they were kids? Struggle, right? Chaos. They have a priority to have some kind of struggle. This is why you see all of the really rich kids, they turn to drugs and they turn to things, and they're chaos because they're trying to get that in their life because they think it's been missing. They've missed it. So they're trying to get that balance, And interestingly, I've now had to navigate that whole period of my son becoming a little bit rebellious of me helping him. It's like, oh, I don't want your help, Dad. I don't want your help. I'm my own person. So even though you really want them, and it's almost like they're trying to have a hard life, right? At times. And I don't know if that's my perception, but it's like, you are doing this deliberately so you have a struggle, because if you just did this, it would be so much easier, but you're choosing to do that or ignoring it, and it's not going to go away, and now it's going to get worse. And it's almost like, is that deliberate? Is that something that they are manifesting, because they feel that way? So now it's like, how much do you help them? It's really hard to not help them because all you want to do is just help them, and then do they feel worthy? Do they feel like daddy's given them everything? Do they feel like, so you have to manage all that. And it's like, wow, and then that's another level of you are not trained for that, because it's almost like something you don't see coming. And now you have to deal with it, and you have to unpeel it before it's too late, or, you have to start making some changes. So we have to go through all that as well. And it's like, so the way I've tried to manage it is, I educate them on finances. I've put habits into them of how to go about earning money, how you earn money, how you manage your money. And because they're two opposites, one, it's easier than the other. So one is like deliberately trying to improve and really, really working. I don't want to, it sounds horrible. One's really obviously trying to improve themselves. One, it's a little bit harder, and it's trying to get them both to be happy and see life for what it is. And of course, at 17 and 20, you think that if you haven't got something in 10 minutes, you're a failure. And that one thing I've tried to instill in my kids is you can have anything you want. You just have to practice, work at it, do the thing, and you get the result. And we've instilled that belief in them over and over again. Like, one of my kids wanted to do a backflip, and he couldn't do a backflip. So I said, well, you will do a backflip. You just have to practice. And then months go by, and then he's just doing backflips, right? And then he's like, oh yeah, I can do it. And then the next thing comes along, he's like, oh, I'll never be able to do this. And I'm like, remember with the backflip, you just have to do this, this, and this. And he does it. And then all of a sudden he can do it. And now he's like, well, I know I can do it. I've just got to learn how to do it. So he's got a completely different attitude, and they both know that. They both know that they can do whatever they set their minds to. But I think I'm glad I had kids when I did, because they haven't, like, we've never had technology at the tables. We've never been out, phones on the table, iPads, all that kind of stuff. We've always brought our kids into conversation. We've never been out of sight, out of mind with our kids. We want them. They're our mates. We want them in the conversation. We want, we've always tried to do that, and they're just lovely kids, man. I couldn't wish for better kids. And it's just navigating that whole, how much do you help them? That's tough. That's where I'm at right now, I'd say. We're trying to help, but not trying to help. Trying to be hard on them, let them learn their own way, kind of thing, when that's the last thing you want to do. You just want to go, oh, look, I'll help you. But it's tough. That's where I'm at now.
Wow, it's a real juggle, that, because one of the things you said about rebellion, and I kind of had this idea that, and I see this with a lot of the men that I work with, is I believe that at some point in our lives, we have to rebel against our parents' rules and agenda, because that's how we find who Absolutely. We are. It's like, that's the point where we go, well, I'm going to go and do all these things in the way that I want to do them. I'm going to disregard your rules. I might even deliberately break them just to break them. And you're saying here, helping them, not helping them, it must be a really difficult point, because they're just saying, I don't want to do things the way you've done it, even though the way you've done it is a really great way, but they want to go against it. But you also can see for yourself from your own life experience that their rebellion is a necessary part to them becoming their own sovereign person.
Absolutely. But I've also, I preach this stuff all the time. I said, never look up to people. And something I've told my kids their whole life is never look up to me. Never, ever look up to me. Never compare yourself to me and what I've done, because the last thing I want is them feeling bad because they're trying to look up to me and live in my shadow and what I've done. What I've done means nothing to them. And you should always be your own person. I've really made a conscious effort to instill that in my kids throughout their lives. And even still, it's still like, it's hard because you're an authority to them, and they do look up to you. We are impressionable as humans. We want to please and appease our parents. We do. And I'm sure one day they'll go, oh yeah, Dad was right. We should have questioned, we shouldn't worry about him. We should do our thing. And yeah, it's just tough, mate, because you know what you want. You just want them to be happy, but they're looking up to you sometimes and trying to impress you, and I don't want them to impress me. But at the same time, I want to give them the right advice and make sure I steer them, and I think I'm doing a good job of it. But it's, as I say, you don't get grades or anything for this, do you? It's just there you go. There you go. And I think the beautiful thing that most people could understand is just understanding that whole value system. Knowing why people are doing certain things. And this is another thing that I tell them. It's like, if someone ever is rude to you or bullies you or hurts you, just look at them and think about why they're doing that, and understand them and love them and love the reason that they're doing that, and appreciate the reason they're doing that. And I've always tried to tell them that. And I think that's a really powerful thing to understand. And I think they get that, they understand that. Very calm, they're very poised guys. One's more emotional than the other. But yeah, all you can do is just kind of let them go in the end, and hope you've done a good job. But we always get told that they're great kids. So yeah, I couldn't wish for anything more.